All right, let's talk about Spotify's new list here of hip hop's next leaders and try to figure out what the hell they're trying to do. First off, Lil Tecca, who not only at this point I would argue has pretty much like maxed out in terms of the commercial potential and appeal and longevity he's going to see. I mean, the guy could continue to squeak out projects from here if he wants, but like Lil Tecca's lack of versatility has severely limited, I think, the amount of spread he's going to see into the future. So I don't see how he could possibly be like leading the genre over the next 10 years. Plus, he's not even a new artist. Like, what do you mean next? Like, Lil Tecca's been around for a minute at this point. So what from this point forward could we possibly be expecting from Lil Tecca outside of 5 more albums that sound like his 5 last albums? I would also argue the same thing from Rod Wave. Rod Wave is fine. His music is listenable. Guy has a decent, sort of singing voice and makes okay mellow trap music. But at this point, he's kind of proven himself to be a completely one-dimensional artist, and there's not anything I think we can expect from Rod Wave into the future that we haven't heard already. Central C, I would say, is not going to be taken that seriously from here. Literally almost every other bar out of that man's mouth is an unintentional joke. He is not a good lyricist. Sometimes his songs pop off, but he is not that talented of a rapper, in my opinion. Doing a bit of a skip here because I want to make a broader point toward the end of this rant. We also have Glorilla, who I do think is very good for a feature, very good for a banger every once in a while. And there were a lot of very good, solid tracks on her new record. I foresee more gas in the tank down the road for Glorilla for sure. But does she have the ability to like truly make like an artful classic kind of album? That remains to be seen. Personally, I don't predict that. I don't anticipate that, but I do think she has the potential to keep dropping bops. I think she makes some fun party tracks that appeal to everybody, have commercial viability, and are just generally very fun to listen to. Has a good sense of humor in a lot of her tracks as well, and has a great way with words and can come up with some very snappy lines that have you sort of like repeating tracks and have you sort of replaying certain bars in your head. I do like Glorilla. Sexy Red I also like, but Sexy Red's appeal is like way more niche and way more provocative and controversial than Glorilla, and I don't foresee her ever being in a position where she's like leading the genre. In fact, I don't know if it would be great if Sexy Red led the entire genre. A lot of the appeal of Sexy Red is the fact that what she's doing is kind of niche and is not what everybody expects. That's kind of the magic of it. The fact that it's like kind of there to tick people off a little bit on some level and be a little tongue in cheek and again, be a little provocative. If what she did was to become so mainstream that it was like the dominant force in hip hop music broadly, it would lose part of its power. Okay, don't say Jid. I mean, Jid is great. Obviously love Jid's music, but Jid is like 35. He's not like the next gen, like maybe he comes across that way because his hype has been a little bit more recent than some artists, but like, Jid at this point is making mature man rap, and it's good. And I'm glad that young people like it too. What Jid is doing is not like some next generation stuff, in my opinion. Big X the Plug, I think is fine. I like his big voice. I like his presence. And it's cool that he has the ability to kind of do this like weird little rap country crossover thing in a way that, few artists have been able to kind of make as commercially successful as he has. But I see him as also like a kind of one-dimensional writer as well. Plus, I think his like, kind of commentary on his artistry and being a rapper and the way that he's kind of like found himself in this country lane, it kind of makes it difficult for him to be somebody who defines just rap music, generally speaking.
I feel like I'm not just a hip hop artist. I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I want to be the best artist in the world. The only way I can do that is if I can show that I can do something other than rap.
And go out to the world.
Exactly.
Like it's like touring Europe. It's like I got to go visit with y'all and see what you guys have going on.
Baby Keem, I just liked his new album. And I think with him being connected to Kendrick in the way that he is, does always sort of give him a bit of an X factor and a certain kind of like potential for commercial appeal that not a lot of other artists do. You know, because of that Kendrick connection, there's always going to be a certain sort of draw to what he's doing because Kendrick is going to be involved on some level, literally, you know, on a track or sort of like in spirit in terms of influence. But I mean, with that being said, I do think Baby Keem, with his vocal delivery, and at least the way that he's kind of like operating right now with, you know, his very sort of raw vocal style and his draw toward more abrasive production, he is only going to probably from here, unless he finds some way to become more commercially viable and start dropping more music, because I don't think an album every 5 years is going to cut it. I think his appeal is going to continue to be niche into the future too. I don't foresee like a massive, you know, sort of explosion in viability for Baby Keem. That is, unless he starts dropping more music and like cleans up his delivery and cleans up his sound at least a little bit to make it palatable for, you know, I'm not even saying like a broader audience outside of hip hop. Like there's a lot of people who are polarized on his sound within hip hop. You know, he's not an MC that I think appeals to everybody. He doesn't have a style. He doesn't have a sound. He doesn't have an approach to lyricism that is as broadly palatable and enjoyable as someone like a J. Cole, who, you know, clown him as much as you want. His new record is pretty successful, and a lot of people take J. Cole quite seriously and find his writing and find his you know, sound really appealing. And that leaves us at the very end with Doechii, who I think out of everyone here has the most potential, like broad star power potential of everybody on this list. Doechii has the ability to write pop bangers that are listenable to everybody, but when she wants to, when she needs to, she can really rap her ass off as well and tell a great story and hone in on a topic and an idea. She has the most versatility of anybody in this list and has provably made banger tracks, super appealing tracks for people that listen to all types of music at all types of levels. There is, I think, a bit of an uphill battle that she is going to have to fight in order to get to a position where she is leading hip hop in any sort of way, because unfortunately, I feel like right now she's dealing with a lot of negativity, a lot of sexism. I feel like, you know, for one reason or another, there's a lot of people that just sort of want to see Doechii fail. I don't know why. It just seems very odd. Maybe you don't like the Anxiety song. That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to like the fucking Anxiety song. But she has a lot of other songs that are much better and are very appealing and very well written and very well performed and are just very good hip hop music. I feel like if there's anybody here who has like sort of leader potential and is actually sort of potentially set, and I'm not saying this is, you know, just my assessment of all rappers broadly. I'm just saying strictly in terms of this list. The only person on this list who I foresee doing anything exciting in the near future that has like, you know, massive potential, it's Doechii. With that being said, as you just kind of said there, SD Kid, I feel like there's interesting and really cool stuff that has me excited for the future of hip hop coming out of the UK scene right now, you know, but the thing is like, that's not really represented outside of Central C. Provably at this point, like, guys like Fake Mink and SD Kid have more juice than Central C in terms of like, you know, the sort of buzz that they're generating right now. So, you know, who the hell is really looking at Central C to lead things right now? Not me, you know, not most of the discourse right now happening around hip hop in the UK at the moment. Brits are going to hate this take, but listen, it's not an anti-Brits, it's not an anti-UK hip hop take. It's I see Central C as boring and predictable take. And it's not that Central C doesn't have commercial viability. It's not that Central C hasn't made tracks that people enjoy and care about. It's that whatever Central C has to offer, we've heard it. We've heard it. And it's had the impact that it's going to have. Central C is not going to do anything past this point that like revolutionizes the rap genre. What he does is like, you know, what we've already heard. Central C is not going to reinvent himself. He's not David Bowie. There's more potential and there's more exciting things being done by Jim Legacy and by Dave. You know, even the new Dave album was very good and had a lot of great stuff on it and showed a lot of growth and potential from his last album. Central C, I don't think has the personal depth to be able to, you know, grow in the way that Dave has over the past few years. That's my Spotify hip hop next leader take list, I guess, if I could have one of those.